Welcome to another match preview. In this one, we look ahead to the Stones' trip to another coastal town. This time, it's Andy Murray's favourite, it's Worthing. So before we look ahead to the location and opposition where last season fell short, we must look back at another cup win. Yes, less than convincing scoreline, but for the most part, seemed to be a good performance down at Herne Bay. First clean sheet in 7 gives the Stones a home game against Ebbsfleet in the next round, of course. A new Torquay date to be announced in due course. Get your pens and diaries ready for that one. Nigel, welcome. Salmon leaping like his proverbial namesake to net the winner in the end then.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably, doesn't sum up the performance that we only lost to a known goal, really. I mean, it was a good cross in from Papadopoulos. And up until that point, Salmon had a good game. He was probably their best defender overall on the day, I thought. But, it was just one of those unfortunate ones that happened between a defender and a goalkeeper. I think, as we spoke about on last week's preview with George and Alexis Andre Jr. But, these things happen. But, we certainly could have, if it would have been a 3-0 scoreline, it wouldn't have been unjust. We did have the chances and it wouldn't have flattered us at all. But it was probably a comfortable 1-0 looking back at it, but at the time when you're at the game, it was one of those that all the time it's 1-0, it gives Herne Bay a chance, doesn't it? And it proved at the end there, that chance they had, well, they had a couple of chances in the injury time, really, yeah. But, this is Andre Jr., he did a good save. I think it was better at the 89th, 90th minute, which was their first opportunity. And then right at the end there, which literally the last action of the game, the guy was through.
Solarco.
Yeah, Solarco, and just couldn't get his shot on target. Some were saying it might have been offside, but from the position I was watching that, you couldn't tell. But certainly a heart in mouth moment. It was unjust really from a Maystones fan's point of view because it shouldn't have gone that far. But like we said before, these games are just about getting through, aren't they? So, and I don't think the team wanted that history of like the biggest year-on-year deficit, going from the 5th round one year, then getting knocked out in the 3rd qualifying round, because something like that would be, history made in another way, wouldn't it? Because that would have been in the 150 years of the FA Cup.
Yeah, not what you want.
We'd have been labelled with that forever. So they avoided that, and like we said, it was a banana skin, wasn't it? They was up for it. It was Maidstone. It was a name, and I think Sam Corn coming back made a big difference. I think the midfield looked a lot more mobile, and Benton and Papadopoulos had really good games, and they were making the surging runs, and they were getting themselves out of tight spots and really dictating the play. And Sam, I think he was more, obviously he's only just come back from an injury layoff, so it's going to take him a few games to sort of get back up to speed, but you could tell he was more the Sam of old that we knew, dictating that play, knowing when to slow it down, knowing when to make those passes, and knowing when to just hold it in the middle. Proper captain's performance, I think, from Sam. And hopefully as the weeks go on now, we can start using that more as a solid base. And I think with Hicks alongside him as well, that just gives them that little bit more stability. And hopefully the knock that he picked up towards the end of the game, Hicks, isn't too serious, and he's available for Worthing on Saturday, because I think really this is probably apart from Bournemouth, but this is going to be our sort of first real big test, as we go through the preview, and that we go through the names. They're all going to be names that everyone's heard of. They're literally, in the last few years have become our sort of rivals, aren't they? A similar size sort of club, and they're a club uply mobile, and it's going to be a tough game, I think.
Quick word on the travelling support at Herne Bay on Saturday, Nigel. It was nearly 800 Maidstone fans. It may only be a local game, so not far to travel, but I know the route back was hard for quite a lot of spectators who travelled back. So huge support to have at this level of the game, Nigel. It's really impressive, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I said it before, that is the legacy of that FA Cup run last year. I mean, you can do that on I know it's a local game, and Steve Lovell had gone out in the press and said beforehand that if he'd have picked a hand opponent, it would have been Maidstone at home. So would they have got the same, no disrespect to Chelmsford, but if they was at home to Chelmsford, would they have got the same amount of people watching them? It's debatable, isn't it? So and we know that Maidstone travel in good numbers, especially with the FA Cup, and it's a one-off game, isn't it? And we know that. And after last year, you know, we might think that the football's not entertaining enough, but in cup football, George has proved himself, isn't he? Even when he first came in, you know what I mean?
Trophy stuff.
You know, the trophy, we got to the quarterfinals, didn't we? Went away to Notts County in his first game and got the penalties there and pulled off a victory against all odds there. So, you know, we've got form in cup competition. So, yeah, it is that proverbial sort of break from the league, isn't it? Where you can literally just for that one day, you can just be like, you know, proud of you know, not that I'm saying we're not proud all the time, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like it's a family day out. It was a nice day, and down to the coach, fish and chips before the game. Do you know what I mean? It's a good day out, wasn't it? So, yeah, it was all good, and you know, it's probably something that you know it is good to look back on, but we've just sort of taken it for granted now, haven't we? Really, that you know we will get that support. So, big up to all the Maidstone fans.
Yes, as always. So to the Worthing preview and the goalkeeping department this season, commanded by Chris Hay, double promotion winner from the South in the 22-23 season from both Ebbsfleet and Oxford City. He joined the Rebels in the summer, and Taylor Seymour returned this summer just gone after 6 years away, travelling the south coast via Crawley, Eastbourne, Pompey, all the delights. So Chris Hay, the number one for Worthing then, but he hasn't enjoyed playing against the Stones in the past, Nigel. His last 4 games against us has seen an aggregate scoreline of 14 goals to 2. So could that be somewhere in his mind come Saturday, hopefully?
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? I mean, yeah, it's certainly a good stat to have there, isn't it? And, you know, hopefully our fans know that. They might be reminding them of that on Saturday if they're behind the goal. I'm not sure how the segregation's working down at Worthing now, but yeah, hopefully it's definitely going to play on his mind. I mean, you know, obviously as well we go on to the, you know, you got someone like Aaron Blair who's coming form in his last game at Worthing was that playoff final down at playing for Braintree down at Worthing, wasn't it? So yeah, exactly. It's good memories for our strikers and bad memories for their goalkeeper. So
more to follow, hopefully, as we say.
Hopefully that, yeah.
So in defence, Joel Colbrand, he's the club captain with over 250 appearances for the Rebels. Sam Beard joined in the summer from local rivals Eastbourne. Joe Cook was at Dorking and Gateshead last season. Cameron Tutt has been with the club for a few years now after beginning in Brighton's youth setup. Glenn Rea, no relation to Chris that I'm aware of. He's in his second season on the coast, having played a part in helping Luton reach the top flight only last year. Alfie Young rejoined the club back in January from Ramsgate. Ollie Black signed from Hastings in the summer. Sam Packham is another one from the Brighton youth ranks. Arthur Gregory was on the bench in the Dartford FA Cup win at the weekend just gone, and he's from their under-18 academy squad. So the traditional stock phrase for you, Nigel, you should charge me £1 for this one each week. Mix of youth and experience there, sir.
They've sort of just continued those links with Brighton. I mean, obviously Hinchelwood was there, who was there before last season, was part of the Brighton setup. So they've got a lot of players and they've got a lot of good links with the Brighton academy. Plus now they've got the manager they've got in there now. Is it Chris Haggertard in there? Isn't it?
Haggertard, yes, yeah.
He's their manager, so he's from Hastings. So again, another South Coast team and knows them local players. And you know, just going through those players there, they're all players that we've heard of. You know, yes, they lost a lot of the so-called big players. Went to York with Hinchelwood, but they've still managed to retain that core of players, and they're literally a double sort of playoff team. Since they've been promoted into the league, they've made the playoffs both seasons, haven't they? So again, it's what we talked about in all these videos. That's that continuity that they just season on season, they just seem to be able to replace the ones that they're missing and just keep the core of the players there together. And we've said it many times, you know, the defensive core, if you've got that as a good setup, it just gives you that little bit of protection for the goalkeeper, and it just helps a lot. I mean, the other side of that is that they do have a lot of like crazy scorelines, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Even in the games against us last year, you know, we beat them 4-0 down here, and then they beat us 5-1 at their place. So, and there's been even this season, they've had a lot of like 4-3 games, and you know, coming back when they're 3-1 down, and they're definitely the league entertainers. And so, hopefully, it should be, if we can, like we said in all these games, get a goal early, and then go at them. Do you know what I mean? It sounds so simple, but that's, and we could have a proper classic match on our hands, but it's not. We can't sit back and just soak up the pressure, can we? Because it's like, there's going to be that little bit of element of doubt in their defence. So it's like testing that early doors, and if we can get Ben Brooks' long throws coming in, and free kicks coming in, balls in the box, get them in early, and hopefully we can, maybe catch them a little bit cold and put that little bit of pressure on that defence.
So from defence to midfield, Kane Wills has the rare distinction of having played against the Stones in the last game before lockdown, as well as that playoff semi-final last season. A niche Venn diagram, I know, people, but go with it. And he's got bags of experience, being one of their older players. Jack Spong on the other end of the age spectrum. He joined back in February from Brighton. Nick Wheeler is in his second season with the Rebels, having spent 3 years tussling with the Stones at Dorking. And Finley Chadwick has just recently gone out on loan to Chichester. Jack Bates has experience at the aforementioned Hastings United, and he signed in the summer from Derby County. So some of these players really do know Maidstone quite well, Nigel, in that midfield.
I mean, I remember Kane Wills playing for Margate, I think, back in the Isthmian Premier League days. So that tells you how long ago he's sort of been around, and again come through Dorking, and like Nick Wheeler and Jack Sponge is another one that really impressed me towards the end of last season. And yeah, they've got the talent there. These if you're a aficionado of National League South football, they're sort of like your household names, and they're like the midfield engine room, aren't they? And we haven't even come on to the attack yet. So there's plenty of threats there all over the pitch, really. So as I said, it's definitely going to be a game that, let's say, apart from Bournemouth Wood, it's definitely going to be a game that we're going to have our wits about us.
Oh, yes.
Hopefully with Sam Corn coming back as well, that sort of gives us that little bit of stability in midfield, because he's like we've just said in the review of the Bay game, he's our general in the middle, isn't he? He's the captain as well, so he's literally the heartbeat of our team.
So talking of threats all over the pitch, we speak about the ones up top, up front, starting with Tommy Willard. He was Aldershot's longest serving player at one time before he signed for Worthing in February, and then again in the summer. Danny Cashman is fresh off a double in the FA Cup against Dartford. Old friend, now foe, Farl, Swaz King, Mo. Stones fans need no reintroduction to him. Temi Babalola signed from Billericay at the end of August. Harrison Smith is on loan from Stevenage, where he has been since the age of 9. And Ollie Starkey is in his 4th season with the club. So, Nigel, someone in that list with some inside info on the Stones potentially, although again, many of these players were here last season for some or all of those 3 tussles anyway.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, Danny Cashman's a player, I know we waxed lyrical in the Chelmsford preview video about Charlie Ruff, but for me, he's probably the standout player in the league. He's a player that I would have thought maybe would have gone with Ollie Pearce in the summer to not maybe York or at least playing at a higher level, but he stayed there, and he's definitely a player that should be playing a few levels higher. Mo Fowl, we know what Mo Fowl's like. Even before he came to us, it was one of those signings that when we were part of the media and we're doing our commentary, you speak to other sort of commentators from other clubs, and they're all like, Mo Fowl, he's a player that every player in this league would like to have. He's got that height, he's got that movement, he's just a proven striker at this level. Maybe it was somewhat a surprise that he did go to Crawley in the summer, but good luck to him. Do you know what I mean? It's a move that he got a good move. It's close to his home where he is. So yeah, it's just a player that just knows this level, isn't it? And again, we're going to have to be on our defence has got to be on point. There's you can't give teams like Worthing second chances.
Yeah.
You can get away with it against, no disrespect, but the teams like Enfield and that, if you give away a chance, you're going to get a chance as well. But again, teams like this, you've just got to be on your game. I mean, that 5-1 game, Ollie Pearce got hat-trick. It was just that momentum, and it just, I know Bivish got sent off early doors in that Worthing game, so that did kind of put us on the back foot. But it was just one of those games. I think it sort of, and again, you could probably say it did come sort of in our FA Cup run, sort of. So we was maybe sort of holding back a little bit, but
one eye on, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, if you're serious about being in the playoffs and pushing for promotion, you've got to go to places like Worthing and perform. You know, you might not necessarily get the result you want, but you need to put in a performance.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that, you know, everyone knows that they need to put in a performance. The team has got that basis of hard work. Drills the team very well. You know, they you know, that shouldn't become an extra they need to put in, because that fitness level is there. So it's kind of like, I mean, this is the 10th game now
In the league, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the marker. This is the one where, you know, all managers look to saying, like, you know, nothing's decided in the first 10 games. You know, don't look at the league table for the first 10 games. You know, don't read much into it for the first 10 games. But we are at 10 games now. This is the game where you need to stand up and be candid. This is the team. This is the game where you've got to put in that performance, and, you know, that hard work and the togetherness, and the, you know, I'm sure it's there. You can see it's there. You know, you can see it's there. It's just all the components are not clicking at the moment. You'll have a game where the midfield, like on Saturday, the midfield looked really good. You know, but we just didn't put the ball in the net, and you know, we've had games where the defence has looked really good, and then we've had games where the defence has been, you know, against the Chelmsford. You know, we don't mention the C word, but it's, you know. But this is it now. This is the time to sort of stand up and be candid, I think. And I think, you know, it will only take a few good performances. You know, get a few good performances together. You know, hopefully with the upcoming FA Cup game coming up as well. You know, we're going to have a big crowd here against Ebbsfleet. So the opportunity is here now for all these players to really step up and put in that performance that the fans are craving. And I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yeah. So to Worthing's form in the 24-25 season, they're unbeaten in the last 6 in all competitions. Only the 1 clean sheet in their 10 games so far this season. Standard, as we've already said, for how Worthing like to play. Very entertaining. But they are unbeaten at home this season, but they have only played the 1 league home game this season, with those aforementioned works on their new stand due to be complete for Saturday's game, we've been told. And they themselves have been rewarded with a trip to Plymouth Parkway, the next qualifying round in the FA Cup, after their 3-1 home win against Dartford. So, Nigel, an up and down season for both sides, you could say, but Worthing with only 1 league defeat is still only 3 points ahead of the Stones.
I thought you said you didn't look at the league table there, Sean. There you
sorry.
go.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Saturday at 5, sorry.
Spoilers there. But yeah, exactly. I mean, that just shows you the early season, like we've said many times before, these sort of dodgy results, and, you know, teams that have performed better than what they are, you know, the table is close. But this is now the time when you sort of, if you are serious about promotion, we've got a tough run of games coming up. So we've got to start taking points off of these teams that are our promotion rivals, haven't we? Because if you know, it's like the proverbial 6-pointer. You know, then they go further in front of us, and it just becomes that little bit more harder of a mountain to climb, doesn't it? So if we're serious about it, we've got to start picking up points on the road. I know, to be fair, we have been good away from home. That's probably what's kept us
still
on the coattails of these teams. So again, we'll probably set up more as a team to be an on the road team. So if we can continue that going. And it's only going to take that one moment, as I keep saying, you know, that one moment, that click moment. That, you know, I think there's the performances there. We're going to really, like, dick a team, and they just give the whole sort of club that sort of, like, boost that it needs. I think it's like an insulin injection, isn't it? That injection of adrenaline, and we can go and we can soar and we can achieve what we want to achieve this season. But it's just about that togetherness and that hard work, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I hope it'll be fine. Come on, Stones.
So the head-to-head between the two sides, 8 matches in the last 15 years or so, 6 home wins, 2 for the Stones, no away winner yet, which doesn't bode well for the Stones, possibly. Do you think home advantage will have a bearing on things come Saturday, Nigel? You
know, it shouldn't do, should it? So they obviously play on a 3G pitch as well.
That's true, yeah.
Maidstone do travel in great numbers, as we've already said in this video. and it is a localish game, it's literally straight down the M23, isn't it? So it's a localish game, and so there will be a backing for Stones. So yeah, we should go there. Believe in ourselves and have no fears, and put in that performance that we all crave.
So if you can't make it to the game on Saturday, be sure to tune in to myself and Alex from 2:40 on Stones Live. You'll see us on the hot take, you'll hear us on the highlights once they go online a few hours after the game. So making new memories has always been one of George's mantras in his time here at the Gallagher, so can the Stones produce some good ones this weekend? Here's hoping they can extend the current unbeaten run to 5 games. Thanks for watching the latest preview, and as always,
Come on, you Stones!